Hey guys, this is Daniel from Cloud66. Today I'm going to show you how easy it is to build a Docker stack with Cloud66 and the cloud provider of your choice, or bring your own server. So before we get started, you're going to need access to the following: a Cloud66 account and deployment credentials of your cloud provider. Depending on what your developer workflow looks like, you'll need a Git repository with your service code containing a Docker file, or you can bring your own Docker image repository with a pre-built Docker image of your service. It's good to note that we can mix and match both ways of deploying the service. Setting up a stack involves 6 simple steps to run Docker in production at scale. Let's look at how you build a Docker stack with Cloud66. We've created an online wizard to guide you through the 6 steps to deployment. First, you need to add a cloud provider. We integrate with all the major cloud providers including Google Cloud, Azure, Rackspace and AWS. For this example, I'll choosing DigitalOcean. I have already added a key and named it Cloud66 Key Daniel. So that's nice. We've now got a cloud provider. With every cloud provider we provide help instructions on how to set up the right credentials. Okay. You'll be able to define exactly what server and region you need later in the deployment step. Let's go to step 2 to set up a Git repository. If you want to go straight to deploying your own private service code containing a Docker file, make sure Cloud66 has access to your codebase using our public key. We automatically build images from your source using our build grid feature. You can also choose from one of the server repositories available. For now, we'll be using a public Git repository with a Node API example, using a Mongo database as the backend. Let's go to step 3 to show you how you can set up an image repository. You'll need to specify a Docker Hub login so we can push the image from the image repo to your server. We also have native support for Key and JFrog. And if you're running your own repo on-premise or in the cloud, you can also specify that. Let me fill in the required fields and hit add Docker Hub to add my Docker Hub account as a source of images. A nice thing to note is we can now mix and match pre-built images and private source code. This gives us a really nice setup for doing continuous deployment of your Docker stack. Let's go to step 4 to see how you can mix and match these services. Make sure Cloud66 has read-only access to your Git repository as covered in step 1. For this example, I'm going to set up an API built in Node.js. First, we're going to need to set up our API service using a Git repository. I call the server's API and I'll use build grid to automatically build the Docker image from our source code. I paste in the Git repo URL and let me choose the development branch. My API is accessible from the internet, so this setting is fine. My API runs on port 3000 inside my container and I want to export this on port 80. If you have specific port needs, you can always add the export setting for TCP and UDP connections. I'll leave these settings as it for now. I'm already specified a command in my Docker file, so there's no need to add one here. Though if you need to run another command to start your process, you can always enter it as required. Great, let's add an additional one. Now let us choose the option to bring your own image. With the bring your own image option, we're going to pull the pre-built image from your repository to the Docker stack. Make sure we have access to your image repo as covered in step 2. We'll do some fancy Docker stuff and run Ghost on our Docker stack. I call the stack Ghost and the Docker image location is Ghost. So that's easy. You need to check the Docker file to determine which internal container port Ghost is running. So I entered 2368. We also want to expose this service, so I won't change this. I will run Ghost for the world to see on port 88. No additional command is needed. We're done here configuring services. You can add additional services, and if you need further customization, you can switch to advanced mode to edit the service YAML straight away. Check the Cloud66 help files for more information about service YAML. Let's go to the next step to choose our data sources. For our private code, the API, we need a Mongo database. So let's choose MongoDB to add to our data sources. We support MySQL, FluxDB, Redis, among several others. Cloud66 run all data sources natively and not in a Docker container because it's easy to scale, manage and run backups. If you want network attached storage across your cluster and services, we provide ClusterFS as a native solution. You're almost done. The next step is to tell Cloud66 what kind of infrastructure you want to run your Docker stack on. I'm already set up my DigitalOcean account in step 1. So for now I'm going to run everything on Amsterdam 3 and we'll choose a 1 gig RAM, 1 CPU VM to start with. You can always scale up and down depending on your workload needs. Okay, let's deploy and off we go. Deploying a stack can take some time depending on the workload, so relax, sit back and let us do all the heavy lifting. Cloud66 will notify you when your stack is up and running, or you can watch the log files live to see what's being done behind the scenes. Nice, so we've got our Docker stack up and running. Cloud66 will provide you with an IP number and alias. Let's use the alias to check our service. First let me check my API. Great, that works. Okay, and then we check if Ghost is installed correctly. Yes, that works too. Now let me show you how easy it is to scale a Docker container up and down. Okay, let me scale this API container to 10 instances. Here we go. 10 instances running and our workload is now distributed over those 10 instances. Now we'll scale back to for now. Here we go. Scale back in just a couple of seconds. I recommend you to explore all the features Cloud66 has to offer in the navigation menu. And when you're ready, you can clone the stack into a production environment and run your Docker application in production. When running in production, you'll be able to add load balancers and set up a Docker cluster, manage and verify backups, and scale your Docker servers up and down when you need the capacity. Don't forget, Cloud66 provides full stack DevOps as a service to help you deploy, build and manage your apps on any server via the cloud provider of your choice. You can click through some additional resources and also sign up to a free Cloud66 trial account. If you need more information, get in touch to talk to us about your requirements. My name is Daniel van Gils. Thanks for watching.